Welcome to Storytime with Dr. Sheila, where stories come alive, brilliance is celebrated, and young minds are inspired to dream without limits. Well, hello, brilliant minds. I'm so happy you joined us today. I hope you've had a great day full of laughter, learning, and love. Thank you for joining Storytime with Dr. Sheila. Let's get ready for exciting reading time together. Are you ready? Okay, let's dive in. But before we do, remember we have our very special friend who will be joining us.
Hi, I'm JR.
Great job, JR. I'm so proud to have you with us. You make reading fun for the children and for yourself. So, brilliant minds, are you ready for a new story? Well, before we begin, let's sing our very special song. Get ready? Sing with me. The more we read together, the more we read together, the smarter you'll be. First I'll read, then you'll read, then you'll read, then I'll read. The more we read together, the smarter you'll be. Great job, brilliant minds. You ready? It's story time.
Hey, Dr. Sheila, what are we reading today?
Jerry, I'm so glad you asked. Today we are reading a very special story. The title is Hide and Seek, a heartwarming tale about self acceptance and neurodiversity. Neurodiversity? What is that word? Well, let me tell you what it means. So, when we say neurodiversity, it means that people's brain work differently, where some people think, speak, learn, and feel in a very different or a very unique way. And guess what? It's okay for them to be that way. There's nothing wrong with it. You have to accept it, and they also accept who they are. So that's what the story is all about. You ready? Let's dive into it. Hide and Seek, a heartwarming tale about self acceptance and neurodiversity. Written by Bec Walraven. On a small farm in the outback, there lived a golden brush-tailed possum named Walter with a big bushy tail. He had many animal friends on the farm: a clever pig named Kevin, a friendly cow named Moo, and a gentle sheep named Puff, to name a few. Walter liked to play with all the animals, but had one little problem: his tail. Walter's tail was always wiggling. Sometimes it wiggled when he was excited, sometimes when he was nervous, and sometimes because he couldn't help it. No matter how hard Walter tried, he couldn't keep his tail still, even when he was concentrating on something very deeply or having a conversation with another animal. He would always find that his tail wiggled and waggled. One bright and sunny afternoon, the animals decided to play a game of hide and seek. It was Walter's favorite game, and he was determined to be the best hider. Moo went in first, seeking out her friends. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll hide in this mud pen with you, Kevin, Walter said eagerly, his tail already flicking back and forth in excitement. Kevin the pig gave him a nod. Okay, Walter, but we must stay very still or we'll get found. Walter crouched down into the mud, trying his best to be quiet and still. But his tail just wouldn't stop. He swished it left, swished it right, and gave a little twitch. Suddenly, the mud splashed everywhere, and there was no mistaking it. Oh no, Walter, giggled Kevin. I think Moo has spotted us. Sure enough, Moo and Puff came waltzing over. Found you, Walter, called out Moo with a laugh. Walter hung his head. Sorry, I wish I was less fidgety with my tail. This time, Walter tried to hide under the big gum tree but Puff the sheep. As soon as Walter sat down, his tail started wagging happily on the ground. It brushed against the leaves, making a soft, crackling noise. Walter, no! Pooh Bad. Your tail is giving us away again. Soon after, all the animals had realized that they couldn't hide with Walter. The pig, the cow, and even Puff the sheep gently told him it might be better if he hid alone when they played the next round. Walter felt a little sad. He didn't want to hide alone. He walked up the path into the fields to have a moment to himself and to think about how to hide without anyone finding him. He thought of his tail, which was always full of energy and movement. He wondered if there was a place where his wagging tail could blend in instead of giving him away. Suddenly, a gust of wind rolled through the farm. Before they knew it, the farm was filled with rustling leaves, grass waving, and the tall wheat fields swaying. Walter's tail twitched as he watched the stalks dance in the breeze. Then he had an idea. I know where I can hide, Walter thought with a grin. He ran into the wheat field where the tall grasses rippled in the wind. He lay down flat among the swaying stalks, and his tail, just as bushy and wiggly as ever, blended right in. Even though the wind moved the grass and swirled the dirt, Walter looked the part. The other animals came searching one by one, but no one could find Walter. They looked high and low and peered into the tall stalks. But Walter was perfectly camouflaged. His tail swished along with the wheat, making it impossible to see where he began and the wheat ended. Where's Walter? Moo the cow called out, jumping from tree to tree, scanning the field. No one could find him. Walter stayed hidden until the others gave up and said they were returning to the barn whilst laughing and calling his name. You couldn't find me, Walter taunted, stepping out from behind the tall stalks of wheat. You were right there the whole time? Kevin asked, eyes wide with surprise. I guess I finally found a good hiding spot, Walter said, waving his tail proudly. You look just like the wheat, so that nobody could see you, added Puff. From that day on, whenever they played hide and seek, Walter's wagging tail wasn't a problem anymore. Even though he was always nervous about being found, the animals had learned that sometimes you just need to find the right place where being yourself can actually help you. And Walter, well, he was proud to have figured it out on his own. The end of hide and seek. Brilliant minds. Did you enjoy that story? I know I did. It was a very fun story, very interesting story. Let's talk about it a little bit. So, the main character in the story's name was Walter. Do you remember him? Yes, Walter was very unique. Remember our word, neurodiversity? So, Walter's brain had a very unique way of how he behaved with his tail. Do you remember that? He was a possum with a very bushy tail. So, also in this story, he had lots of friends. Can you name the friends? Well, let me help you. First, there was Kevin, who was the clever pig, and there was Moo, the friendly cow, and Puff, the gentle sheep. Now, in this story, Walter had a favorite game that he liked to play. Maybe you played that game before. It was a fun game when I was a child, too. Do you remember the game? Yes, hide and seek. A fun game. I hope you played it today. Maybe you go outside and play with your friends and do hide and seek. So, in this story, Walter said he wasn't the best hider. Why did he think he was not the best hider? Do you remember? I think it had something to do with his big, bushy tail. His tail would not stay still. It always wiggled and waggled, making lots of noise. So when he was hiding, they could find him very easily. So Walter had to solve his problem. Do you remember what happened? Well, Walter had to think about it and he found the right place to hide where he could be himself and not worry about his tail making noise. Do you remember where that special place was? Yes, it was in the swaying wheat field because the wind was blowing back and forth in that wheat field. And so when he hid in the wheat field, first of all, his tail and the wheat was almost the same color. But the most important thing was when his tail would move back and forth, wiggle and waggle, it blended in with the sound of the wind moving and swaying that wheat. So he was able to find a great hiding place and he accepted that his tail is a part of who he is. It's going to always sway back and forth, but he found a place where he could be accepted and he could hide and join in the fun. He learned to love and accept himself. I enjoyed that part. Did you? All right, brilliant minds, you know what's next. You know what's coming next. It's our what? Word of the week. Come on, let's sing our word of the week song. It's the word of the week. Oh yeah, it's a word of the week. Oh yeah, it's a word of the week. Oh yeah. All right, good job. JR, are you ready for the word of the week?
Yeah. What's our word for the week?
Here's the word of the week. You ready? It's self acceptance. Can you say that? Self acceptance. It is a noun, and let me tell you what it means. The definition is liking and being happy with who you are, and even if you're not perfect, you accept who you are. Self acceptance. Let's use it in a sentence. Self acceptance means I can be proud of myself just the way I am. Self acceptance. Good job, brilliant minds. All right, brilliant minds. I hope you've had as much fun as I did today. As we sign off, I want you to always remember these 3 powerful words. You're brave, you're bold, and you're brilliant. You're brave when you feel a little scared, but you do something anyway. You're bold when you try something new or you speak up with confidence. And finally, you're brilliant, which means you're really smart, you're creative, and you use your mind or your brain to come up with unique ideas. Repeat after me, brilliant minds. Say, I am brave, I am bold, and I am brilliant. JR, did you have a great time today?
Yeah.
All right, brilliant minds. I'll see you next week for another exciting story adventure. Have a great day. Parents, please remember to subscribe, like, and share the videos to help our story time grow.